Hi, and welcome to Google Forms. If this is the first time that you're checking this out, welcome. I think you're going to be very excited with the possibilities that it can entail for your classroom. So the purpose of this video is first to show you how to create a Google form. The second will be to how to navigate some of those settings to best fit your purpose in the classroom. To start with, we're going to go ahead and create a new Google form. Go to the New button in the top left-hand corner, slide down to More, and then over to Google Forms. Notice that it opens up a new tab. If yours doesn't look like this, you did something wrong. No, I'm just kidding. You're actually just in the old version of Google Forms. It should ask you somewhere around here on your screen to, it'll ask you, do you want to try the new version of Google Forms? You would want to say yes, and then your screen will match this. Okay, so I'm first going to title my form. I will call it First Form. Notice that, First Form J. Notice that my title will also sync with my title here in my form. This is your form. So you have your questions. This is where you can add different types of questions, multiple choice, short answer, check boxes, etc. You can add in titles. You can add in images, movie clips, and sections, which are like new pages. And then this is where you actually get to see the data when people complete your form. However, we're actually going to start in the top right-hand corner, where these are some of your important settings and features that you should really know what they do, because they can make a big difference. So we're going to start with More. This gives you the option to delete it, move to the trash, to make a copy. You can add collaborators. So oftentimes, my awesome partner, Terry, and I will share forms back and forth. And it's as simple as typing in their name. Notice that you can only choose edit. You can't have them view your form. It's only edit. So make sure that you really want to share your form with whoever you're doing it with. And then you click send. And then from there, they can make a copy and create one for their own classroom, which is helpful. And then lastly, if you're completely new, go to take a tour. This walks you through how you add questions, how you pick themes, all that stuff. But I'm going to show you some of that right now. Okay, so that's the top right-hand corner. Your send button, it's pretty self-explanatory, but it gives you 3 different ways you can send it. You can send your form through an email. So let's say I wanted to send this form to my classroom kids. I would type in their email group name. It would pop up. I would select it. We'd be good to go. So that's one way. You can also send it as a link. So you can take this and hyperlink it into your WordPress or your Google Sites, or send the link through an email. And then this last option allows you to embed into a web page. Okay, that's send. Your settings, your little gear icon. These settings are really important. I have ruined kids' afternoons because I've selected the wrong settings and not collected their information, and then they've had to retake the quiz or the test. So this is, I would say, probably the most important thing you'd want to set up, or at least have an understanding with, before you use it in your classroom with your kids. So the first one says who can respond. If you're using it with your students and you're in San Luis Coastal, select this option. It basically only allows your kids with the SLC USD domain to take your form. That way, if anyone else tried to take it, they wouldn't be allowed to. Pretty sweet. If you are sending this and sharing this with parents, or if you're in a different district, select anyone, because then anyone that has the link to the form can take it. So I choose this setting when I'm giving my parents the back to school night survey. That way they can all access it. If I selected this one, they wouldn't be able to actually use the form. So that's an important setting to know for us San Luis Coastal folks. Next, if you're using this with students, for written responses or for tests or quizzes, strongly recommend you select automatically collect respondents, SLC USD username. Their username is their email address. So if you perhaps maybe on your quiz you forget to ask for their first name and their last name, this will automatically collect it and it'll pair it with their response. Also, if you want to go even a step further and email them back like results or data, this option is incredibly important to do that step. So I'm gonna leave I'll leave that selected. Okay, if you're giving a test, if you only want them to take it once, you would select that. If they try to take it a second time, it blocks them. Your confirmation page is a little note that pops up after they've taken their form. So the standard generic one is your response has been recorded. You can change it to whatever you want. You can get cutesy with it if you'd like. Your down here, show respondents a link to. So after you take the form, there's a little window that pops up, and this is where these settings affect, or this is where these settings come into play, I guess. If you want the person taking the form to be able to submit another response, then you'd want to select this form, or this button. If you want them to be able to edit their response, like change their answers or change their work, maybe they change their mind about something, that's the option you'd want to select. And then if you want them to see a summary of responses. So I often do this with class surveys, when kids vote on stuff. I like to have that option available so they can see what their classmates are choosing and picking. It's kind of fun and engaging for them. And then lastly, your progress bar. So if you have multiple pages on your form, this just lets people know, like, hey, you're 25% of the way through your form. Now you're 50%. If you don't have it, it's not the end of the world, but for people that like to know how long the test is or whatever, or how long the form is, that's kind of a nice option to use. And then if you want to completely shuffle your questions, you want them in complete random order, this is the option for you. Okay, so that is that. I'm going to go ahead and click Save. I'm going to go ahead and jump over to the color palette. This is where you select your theme. So if your theme is essentially, it's like the color of this background and then your little header up here. You can change it to whatever color you want. If you want to get really creative, you go to the bottom right hand corner and you select it. And it pops up all these pre-populated forms. So you can do, there's illustrations, there's party, there's just kids stuff. You can get a little more advanced with the nightlife. Probably don't want to choose that with the kiddos. You can also upload a photo. So if you have like a photo of your class or a photo of like the place, like a specific location that's important for you, you can upload one from Google. You can also upload a picture from your album. Okay, so that's your theme finder. This last one is if you have any add-ons. So for those, this is I guess a little more advanced, but if we have any math teachers in the house, there's a really cool add-on called Gmath for Forms, and it just allows you to create equations and then insert them into the form, and it has all the correct formatting for it. So that's a cool option that you can add. Okay, and then very lastly is your preview button. So your preview allows you to see what your form would look like if you were taking it. So I'm going to add a little bit to my form first. I always usually like to start by asking for their first name and their last name. So I choose a short answer. Type in first name. This option, required. If you want a question to be required, like they have to answer it, then you want to click on required. If they go to try and take the form, if they try to submit the form, but they haven't completed this question, it brings them back to this question. So it prevents kids from accidentally skipping questions, which happens with my kids semi-often. This button I just clicked is duplicate. So it just copies the same question. I'm going to go ahead and say first name, last name. Okay. I'm going to take this off. I don't want this, so I'm going to click delete. And for this question, I'll click delete. I want to answer, or I would like to add a couple multiple choice questions. So I'll say Just do a simple one like, what is 2 plus 2? So I can say, give them a couple options, 1, 2, 3, or 4, and I'll say it's required. And then I'll do a short answer one. And I'll just ask, what color is the sky? Which could actually be a really complicated question. Okay, and I had that required. So I've created my very first form, and now I want to basically see what will it look like. You go up to the eyeball, and it's a little preview button. You click on it. It opens up a new tab. So this is like your editing version, and this is what it looks like to take it. Notice here's my progress bar down here. I said collect my username. So this is the little notification that lets your students or your people know, hey, I'm collecting your information, which is good. I'm going to go ahead and take my form. So fill it out. Oh. Okay, what is 2 plus 2? 4. What color is the sky? I'll just say blue. If you want, you can have a copy of your responses emailed to you. I'm not going to, and I'll click submit. And then there's my little confirmation response thing. So I just put a little smiley face. And now I'm going to exit out of this form. So I've answered questions on my very first form. I'm going to go ahead and click on responses. And notice, oh, did I not do that? Let's see. I'm going to take it. Blue. Submit. Submitted it. Oh, I guess it was just slow. So now I've had 2 responses. So what it shows is who has responded. It has all the questions. You can see a summary of everyone at once, or you can also see individual students. So by clicking up here. So you get to see what gives you a little pie graph. What percent said what, and then what these responses were. And then that's it. From here, you're more than welcome to add different types of questions. You can get really creative and add pictures and different videos, and then adding a new section is like adding a new page. Other than that, those are the basics. Just make sure that I'd say as a final sign-off, make sure you have the correct settings selected for what you're trying to do in the classroom.